artist called Max Horton, who worked on films such as Gravity, Shaun of the Dead, and Troy. So that was a great experience. In terms of the actual looks of the soldiers, I think we spent a lot of time with Nat and Alison. We toured the country looking at military, I guess, kind of visiting surplus stores and building equipment and looking at what people would wear. But I guess Black Hawk Down was a reference, I guess. I mean, obviously that's more American. But we just, I think, we just want to kind of make our soldiers kind of look really cool and tough and look really hard, I guess. So that was our kind of process in terms of giving them a unified look, at the same time giving them weapons and things which would kind of let them stand out to Carlos. And the cowboy hat was a homage to Carlos's films, Desperado and Once Upon a Time Mexico. So that was kind of a little nod there. So yeah, that was, I guess, kind of the process that we went through.
And just a question for Carlos and Mark, in terms of kind of the fighting in the costume and all the gear, the weapons. How did that differ from the movies you've done, Mark, for yourself?
Tell you what, it was tough. Yeah, them costumes are awkward to move in. Yeah, they're really, really tough. And I remember one of the sequence where I do a roll over the top of the car in the first opening action sequence. It was the hottest day in Scotland that day. Scotland had never experienced that type of weather. Yeah, and we were in full kit, we were wearing what we were wearing, it was weighted, it was hard work, and literally days doing action sequences wearing that costume. You were getting home and it was horrendous. The costume was stuck to you. I must have lost so much weight with that costume wearing that. It was tough. Anything really restricting sometimes. You just gotta give it more like 110%. You know, it's great when you got a pair of shorts and fighting kind of in the fight scene, an action scene. But no, it was very challenging, the whole shoot wearing that costume. But it was fun, and we did what we did, and at the end of the day, it was an added challenge for me to try and run around walls and do what I was doing in that film, and you know, busting out some cool action, you know. But yeah, Carlos?
For me, it was another day at the office. It was just tough for me. I kept my cool. One of the things I have to say is that she came to me. We had already met, and he had shot a pilot, and he showed me, and then I came. I think it was in 2015, and I was just wearing some uniforms, and I come from action films, and I was just wearing like the uniform, and I was like, can I wear my regular boots? They're black, and he's like, oh, you gotta wear the right stuff. And I was like, all right. I was like, acting is just like pretending. And I was like, I come from movies that where usually pose and shit like that. But no, then the first costumes were not really great, and I have to give credit to Chi, because in a way, I would have done the film, with the costumes we had in the past. But this is why this is why I'm here, this is why I'm supporting this team, because the talent, and there was always pushing into every single environment. And with the costumes, I'm very proud, and I'm also very proud that we went to boot camp. Because for me, I was like, no, boot camp, who cares? We're just acting. But no, I have to say that a lot of people don't accept their mistakes. And me being a producer, I've done over 15 films in my life. Most producers don't accept that, and when I met Chi, I knew that after meeting 5 other directors that didn't bite, he had the talent to make this type of film. And we went to boot camp, and the uniforms became better. And when I see the uniforms now on the screen, they're better than some of the uniforms used in Transformers. And believe me, I mean, but again, we're here to entertain. For me, if I'm comparing that, that's because I'm really observing. I'm really going back and saying like, okay, those uniforms are not that cool, but our uniforms are really unique. So in a way, it was this man that pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. I mean, I can go on forever and ever as filmmakers, but I'm here to support these guys as a veteran. So I'm very happy that there was that push and that push and that push that that I believe that this is very unique. Because every single thing, even the bad guy, I call him Mad Max, but Doug, he plays the bad guy, and I call him Mad Max. Even him, you know, you see his wardrobe, he's got like all these grenades here, and it's just so powerful. It's a little bit of Escape from New York kind of thing. But again, I'm very happy, very honored, and that we could do such a tremendous job. This movie was the second hardest movie for me. But again, I'm known for breaking records, and me and she sat for many, many years talking about how we were going to shoot this. But again, it was his talent that he kept bringing new ideas. And I was like, shit, that's great. I didn't think about that. Oh my God, that's great. I didn't think about that. So again, I think that the collaboration, a lot of people, and I really want to mention this, in Hollywood there's people that, as a director, you bring ideas, and they're like, I don't think that's a good idea. But in fact, they're not talented. They're not talented enough to agree with the fact that, or they're not talented enough to say, you know what, that's a great idea. And ideas are very common sense. If it's good, it's good. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And he's right. And there were a lot of scenarios where I was like, shit, I didn't think about that. That's great. I didn't think about that. That's great. So many things. But again, I don't want to make this long, but I'm very happy to be part of this. And as a veteran of this film, I really enjoyed being part of this.
Okay, guys. So yeah, we'll just throw it open to any questions. Just put your hand up, and we'll ask the guys anything you want.
Sorry, there was a really nice moment where your character was singing, Carlos.
Yes.
And beautiful, beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Was that you?
Yes, and you see the credits, finally, that's me. Again, I gotta give credit to him. That's the song I sang in my very first professional movie, which was titled El Mariachi, and it launched Robert Rodriguez's career and my career. And she wanted that song, and I was like, oh, do I have to sing again? So in the first film, I have to say that it was not my voice in El Mariachi. Again, I was a very young kid. I was like 12, 13 or something like that. Yeah, right. Anyways, but it was Chi's idea, and again, I think that I come full circle to connect my past to today, because I'm now here in England and I'm bringing my product here. I really love your country. I feel like part of you. I mean, I could be in the tube, and I'll be like, oh, this guy's look like me, as opposed to being in Mexico. It's like I'm really an outsider in a way. But it was his idea. I went to LA and I produced the song with another friend, and I put my voice on it. Yeah, but did I answer that question?
Yes, you did.
Okay, thank you.
very much.
Was there a question up there?
Yeah, what was your budget and what was the biggest challenge in delivering a film to that budget?
Is that for who's that? Me or anyone?
I won't mention the specific budget, but one of the things which, when delivering something like this, and so I guess sometimes in terms of the writing process, it's a little bit more straightforward writing it down on paper, but then actually realizing it is a whole another level. I think in terms of every day was a challenge on set, getting the scale. I think you mentioned earlier on, we had 1,500 background artists on the film. I think we had, I lose count, I think about 8 tanks, or 10 tanks, helicopters, Humvees, speedboats. So each thing, and particularly when you don't have necessarily money, you can't go in and go, let's buy it, or let's rent it, or hire it. The film did rely a lot on the support and goodwill of so many people who helped make that possible. But every day was a challenge. We would work. You'd have. You're working about 12 hours plus days in terms of capturing maybe a minute of screen time, 2 minutes of screen time. So, and then we've got these big complex action sequences. We shot in 12 different cities across the country. Logistically, that was also a challenge. So there were lots and lots of elements to it in terms of, I guess, kind of undertaking the actual film itself. Our first cut, we ended with 120 plus hours of footage. And from that, we had to then condense that down to just under 2 hours, which is what this is. But yeah, I think one of the things with independent filmmaking is you find ways to kind of be creative in terms of trying to kind of overcome challenges, but also add new spins and new things onto things. And some days, logistically, we would have 100 plus background artists, extras, zombies, and we put them through zombie training, boot camp training, and a lot of people who came on board, they were from all walks of life. And we had accountants, doctors, lawyers, primary school teachers, and it was kind of amazing. So that really helped kind of help with the process. But yeah, I mean, in terms of specifics, I mean, every day was a challenge. Trying to clear roads, close roads, bring cars in, flip them upside down, have guns on streets. It was certainly a big challenge. Some cities were a lot more welcoming for us to film, others were not so welcoming. But I guess, sometimes when you turn up and say, I want to bring a squad of 8 soldiers and arm them with M4s and bring a few tanks into town, some are not as receptive as others. Whereas others are like, yeah, sure, great. And and with some of the shoots we had, police would get involved, and we had a lot of ex-military personnel. So it was certainly something which I guess grew day by day in terms of the overall film, and we just tried to kind of stick to the vision of and maintain this sense of scale. We shot everything on location because we knew we didn't have a budget for CGI or kind of visual effects, so we tried to do as much in-house as possible. Not necessarily, I guess, one specific, but every day was a logistical challenge, and just kind of moving the team as well, because in effect we were kind of moving like kind of a traveling circus where we'd have like 30 people and we'd be in literally a different city pretty much every day or every 2 days. So then it was kind of striking and moving around. So it was a phenomenal team we had working with us on that.
Any others? Yes?
With the experience and the journey you four men have been on together, can we expect in the future more projects from yourselves, collaborative efforts than that?
I'd like to think so, yeah. At the end of the day, what we are doing right now, you can imagine a 30-city tour in 30 days. We can't think of anything else but this. and the entire kind of build up to this as well, and marketing it, because we don't have the luxury of having a studio to pump millions into the marketing and have it all over buses and all that type of stuff. So the way we've been doing it is very organic, and utilises social media and tell friends of friends. You know, I'm going to pitch it right now. It's on here on Monday night. It's the last night. It's on in this cinema. So if you know anyone, the more support we can get, the bigger noise we can make. Is, you know, it just tells these studio boys, you know, we're on the map kind of thing, and what we can do is just as good as what you can do, but you've got 100 million to make it, you know. So what we've been relying on is just pure support, and we've just been doing the best we can. But that has literally taken all our time, you know. We are a very small team, and everyone's been working around the clock, and so, you know, there's loads of projects that I want to do, and I'm sure there's loads of projects that these gentlemen want to do as well, and I'm sure we will make some great films in the future. So, but right now, it's all about the Redcon.
I think absolutely. I mean, what one tries to kind of do is you spend a lot of time when you make films, and you're working very closely together, and it becomes a real unit and a real family. And I think that's certainly kind of one of the big things with this film, not only with us as a team practically and us standing here, but also with the community and the background artists and the zombies and everyone who got involved. That was something that we had hoped for, but I guess we didn't never kind of really expect it to the level it was and the generosity, and that was kind of something really, really key. And actually to see so many people turn up and dressed up and support the release has been phenomenal and amazing. I think from our side, I think it's just about, the industry is a very tough place. I think for us it's just about trying to create, as Mark mentioned, create noise and create, show there's support and show there's interest. And I think if we're able to get that across and people like what we're doing or like what I'm doing and like the kind of content we're creating, then absolutely it would be an honour to keep making material.
For myself, yeah. I mean, the idea was always to make more movies. Maybe these guys are tired, but I like to come back to this country, and if they don't want to do anything, I'm going to come and direct and produce and act. So if they don't want to do it, I'll do it.
I think everyone knows here I definitely want to do it.
What was the single biggest setup, or which is the one that still gives you nightmares? Maybe they're the same one, don't know.
Who's that? To cheat?
To anybody?
To anyone?
Yes.
Maybe we all each answer.
She's got a story.
I mean, I'll tell you, there was one scene and it was a real pain to this day still, and it's still, I mean, it's a challenge. It was the helicopter extraction scene where Smith comes in and lands, and we had I think it took us, it was like the fourth time before we were able to shoot it. And the first time we were trying to shoot with the helicopter landing, and we were trying to organise a helicopter, and the helicopter was all booked in, and we were shooting in Edinburgh, and it was supposed to land, and it couldn't take off. So we were waiting for the helicopter, waiting all day, and the helicopter didn't show, and we couldn't shoot the scene. So that was really painful, and we'd already shot the dialogue sequence, but then we couldn't shoot the reverse because we relied on this helicopter turning up. So then, second time we tried to do it in a completely different location, and then it was just pouring with rain, so we couldn't shoot. So we shot some of it, but then we couldn't shoot again. So there were some instances such as that where you plan and plan and plan, and it's just like you're like, you know, just please give me a break, you know. And it's like, and then the actors coming back and they're like, what are we shooting today? And let's come back and again and you know, Paul Robert Goodale who plays Dr. Raines, he was like, you know, am I going to die today? And I was like, maybe. You know, and so that I think kind of burns in my head as quite because when you are again independent and you're dealing with the elements and you're turning up there and it's pouring rain, there's just nothing you can do, and the helicopters can't take off, and they're booking some days, and you're on this train and you're kind of on this fast-moving train, you can't stop. You have to keep moving, and that people's schedules and availability, the people doing the thing. So that was certainly something which I thought was quite. And then we were like, maybe he doesn't come in a helicopter, maybe he turns up in a tank, and then we try to find a tank, or maybe he turns up in a bus or whatever, And so you're always trying to come up with these kind of crazy ideas, and in the end you're like, no, he needs to turn up in a helicopter. So that was one of the moments.
Yeah, just was there ever a point where you thought this was never going to get to the end? And because it has, what was your driving force for it? Like
Yeah, I remember the time when we first started writing this. Me and Gene came up with the idea to make it. I was kind of like sitting in my bedroom on my underpants, and writing. She was sending stuff over for me to write, and he said, "Oh, that's cool," and that, and then because she's the only one that can understand my writing. I'm dyslexic. I'm the worst writer. I'm terrible at writing. Yeah, but he seemed to kind of. He seemed to be able to understand what I was doing and stuff, and that was 7 years ago, yeah, and then obviously the journey has been so long, and a lot of the reason being is because we had opportunities, and these opportunities we were waiting for, and there were some big opportunities on the table, and we were waiting, and we just got fed up of waiting. Let's just make it, So we then went out and tried to pull all these amazing contacts together, and all this amazing kit and equipment, and we got sponsors, we got a certain amount of investors that believed in us guys to make films, and looking at our track record, what we've done, and it was just a never-ending kind of at that point I was thinking, oh my God, is this ever going to happen? Because I was working quite actively in the industry anyway on other stuff, and me and Chi we kept driving, and then obviously we found Carlos, and Carlos has been amazing, in every possible way, and it's an honour to have him on board, and all these great people that Chi has brought on, which I'm sure he'll tell you about. The rest of the creatives and exec producers that have attached to the project, and it got to a point where when we started shooting, it was like, yes, we're here. We're starting shooting. It's great and everything, and there was kind of like a point where it stopped and started, and then you think, oh Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's kind of and then we started properly, and then when we started properly, and we had all the right elements, we just went right through and kind of knocked it out of the park, kind of in a sense, completed it, and what she's done with this movie is truly amazing, for what we had, and what every single person involved with this movie as well. It's been an absolute beautiful team effort to create this on here. This is like the ultimate experience for me. I've always wanted to, I've had like parts in films before on the big screen, but nothing like this. And to say it's our own movie as well, that's in all these cities that we're touring around, is truly amazing. So now, to answer your question, it was a point where I was thinking, is it ever going to happen? Are we ever going to? But we drived it, and we kept hungry to finish it, and we knew we could do it. So, let's see if you want to add anything.
I think, making films, this is fascinating. We spent last week kind of watched this film like 7 times, and every time I watch it, it's just more and more painful. But that's the thing, as a creative, you're kind of watching it, and you're remembering all the stories, and you remember the good times, and you remember the tough times, and you remember the not so good times. And I think, for me, every day was a struggle, and every day was a challenge, because on one hand it's kind of I kind of put myself in this position because I could have just written a man walks into a house and then he has a cup of tea and then leaves and the end. But instead it was like 6 tanks roll in and cars turning over and hundreds of zombies run down the streets and you're like, okay, well, now we've written it, now we have to realise it. So that was kind of a challenge. I think for me, many moments of questioning and doubt in terms of trying to get to the end, and I remember actually being on set one day, and I was like, it was a really tough day, and nothing, we weren't getting, the vehicles weren't turning up and whatnot, and I'd look and we'd have like 120 zombies, literally like background, amazing, and they'd have their families and they'd be their kids and I'd kind of look and they'd all be they'd be helping each other on the makeup and costume, and you make this film and you kind of look and you kind of go, this is kind of quite a special moment. I mean, we kind of, I guess, we make films, we kind of we're sometimes a little bit removed from the real world because we're always in this kind of fantasy make-believe land. And when you look and you see the immense amount of people and their kind of support and coming over and saying really, really nice things, and then as for me as a filmmaker, the responsibility is to do right by them and do right by the team, in terms of fulfilling the mission, I guess, in terms of similarities to Marcus. But in terms of making it through to the end and going, it's not just about me. It's about everyone who's got involved in film from day one and believed in the film and believed in the vision and supported that vision. So that sense of responsibility would kind of snap me out and go, okay, we're here to make a film, and being the guardian or the custodian of the film Redcon is to make sure that we get to the end and then have a film that we can eventually showcase to all those involved. So that was kind of my motivation.
We've just got time for one more, but
Oh,
the
well,
guys that
then.
will be next door, so we can have a chat
Oh,
with
well,
them
then.
and speak a bit more to them. So yes.
Yeah, this one's directed to Chi. Looking at the film, you said you've watched it 7 times, sometimes it was painful. Is there one overriding lesson that you would say that you learned where you said, I'm definitely going to do that better next time?
I think there's always this kind of creatives. Sometimes you look at things and things that you envisage may not necessarily work out as you'd planned, and sometimes things that you don't never envisage work out far superior and far better. Part of the things I think, and I think kind of filmmaking is a craft and it's a process, and you learn. And so I learned a great deal on this film and making the film, and was fortunate to be surrounded by some amazing talent and with Carlos and Mark and an amazing team. But what we tried to kind of do, I guess, through the film, and in terms of Mark mentioned some of the other team involved we had. One of our exec producers is Kevin Eastman, who co-created Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I thought was really cool. I love Ninja Turtles. So he was an exec producer on the film. We also had Stephen LaRue, who produced the Sin City Games Kill For. And along the way, with this kind of this independent film we were making, we always try to kind of sustain this level of let's try and make it as big and as bold as possible. And we were very conscious of not shying away from trying to make it. We thought, let's not make it just small. Let's try and create a statement with this film, and along the way, let's see who joins the journey. Certainly, a great deal of rejection and people not wanting to get involved, and people thinking that we were crazy, and and all of these things, but then on the other side, we had people such as one of our editors on the film is Martin Hunter, who edited Full Metal Jacket, and managed to get the film to him, and he really believed in what we were doing, and he agreed to come on board. Chris Gill, who edited 20 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, likewise joined in. So we were working like these amazing people that we never had really envisaged would ever consider coming on board this film. And so each of those helped each of those creatives and individuals across the board help to make the film better and and help to put their stamp on the film and help to enhance the vision. So I think it's not so much kind of, sometimes, you look at some scenes and you think, okay, I would have liked, on that day I would have liked to have had my helicopter, but you realise that it doesn't arrive and you have to work around the situation, work on the sequence. Some days you would have 120 plus extras, and on other days, because it's a weekday and it's a work day, you may only have 4, but you still have to shoot the scene. And so we find kind of creative ways to do things. I think certainly there was a lot of story and a lot to get through, and that was kind of this ride that we wanted to take people on. So we tried to cram in as much as possible, and take people on that adventure. But in terms of the opportunity to work with the scale of the cast and was amazing, and the creatives across the board, because again it was very, very independent, and we shot in sections and we shot in blocks, and that allowed us time to shoot and review material and look back and then shoot additional material to be able to help bridge anything that wasn't quite working for us. So, but again, it's a kind of a process and like kind of an adventure.
Thank you very much for coming, everyone. We're going to be in next door, so these guys will show you where you're going, and we'll see you in a minute. Thank you.
I just want to say, thank you very much for coming out tonight. We really appreciate you coming out and checking out this film. So it really means a lot. I really hope you enjoyed the film. But thank you very much. Thank you.
I'd just like to say,
And also, sorry?
I'd just like to relate to Carlos's comment earlier, where if you look for your inner child, where you can bring out, and you can relate to that, your inner child, which makes you a better, and you pretend that you're doing everything. Like he was saying earlier, he said I find if you just forget everything and pretend to be a kid again, and just get into everything and do it, it kind of brings it out of you, doesn't it, in a kind of way.
Filmmaking is you have to keep being a child.
Exactly.
I remember a couple of months ago I spoke to Robert Rodriguez, and we were talking about our kids. I have a daughter, and he's got 5 or 6 or 7. I don't remember. He's got so many. And he said, "Jesus, my kids are growing up, but I think I'm the only child here." And yeah, you have to give your inner child to embark in this world of cinema, because basically, I mean, from my point of view, this film is directed from 18 to probably 25, 35. But with the essence, we only learn from you guys, and the film can be more than what we think. I mean, this film can be.
If you can get back into being a kid. If you can get back into being a kid and just leave everything about and just get into that kid thing, I think that's what I like.
The script, I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. So,
Yeah.
I'm not scared of this. But I mean, I come from fucking, fancy movies, that would make for $7,000. And I'm not, I'm really, yeah, you're right, I'm a child. And I'm still a child.
I am. I like to grow down rather than up.
My wife say, "God, you're just a child."
Exactly.
So you have to be a child to keep making films and to keep entertaining people. And you have to keep your inner child in you. And but, I mean, that's hopefully I answered that question.
Thank you. Yeah. Cheers, man.
Okay, so next door, and then there's a party in town. So at the Santiago bar. All right, so yeah, we'll see you next door. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.